what's up? It's the show of podcasts.
You booped.
It's cool. It's the show. It's brand new. It's not brand new. We've been doing it for a bit, but
yeah,
to
it's
us,
new.
It feels brand
Every
new.
week it's brand new.
Yeah, it's a brand new experience. It's why we come up here with the utmost highest of energy.
Yeah, bro. Like
to bring you
10 out of 10.
a brand new podcast. Not even a brand new episode, of a brand new experience.
Mm-hmm.
If you watched last week's episode, forget it, because then this would be very similar to that week's episode. And if you did forget it, it's brand new. That's how brand new works.
Perfect.
I'm tired of saying brand new. Welcome to the Joystick Show, episode 234. That's fun.
Hey.
A little 234 action. See that?
Mm-hmm.
I think. Might be wrong on that. I don't know. But
that sounds correct.
the number's getting difficult to track these days.
Last week we said 233. So if anything, we're off by one in a good way. Like we're accurate.
Yeah. Another thing that's getting hard to track these days is these little rascals over here. As you can see, we were just talking. This feels real empty when we're looking at the camera, and it's like
just like I mean, it's just like we
gotta find something to fill the space here. You
know?
know?
And it's like, and normally I'm like, oh yeah, like a 2-person, like we fucking kill it, like in our natural habitat. But after a few weeks of having Jerry and then just having everyone, it's kind of just like, what the fuck are we gonna do?
Yeah, no, you'd be surprised how much we gotta rely on these guys. Jerry's like the one-liner king, you know. So Jerry comes out with like, you know, top 3 joke every single episode. You don't have to worry about it. And then Joey just comes in with like 8 topics per episode, so we just have so much stuff to work with. Then when it's just you and us, it's like, so pizza's cool.
Yeah, I mean it's either like the most organized shit or like anything goes. Like it really can be either one.
And it's gonna be one of those anything goes ones today.
Fuck yeah.
Before we go any further, go ahead and make sure to like this episode of the Joystick Show. It'd also be real snazzy of you if you could go ahead and subscribe to Team Joystick. That'd help us a bunch. And you know, stick around. We got stuff to talk about. We got some things to discuss, and we've got some memories that we recently made to share. Because you and I did something. I mean, we all did something, but you and I can only report on it.
If only, you know, we're those people. Like, we have an entire passive aggressive episode. Like, if only there was another person here that could talk about that in detail. Yeah.
On top of that, I'm like so exhausted today. I feel like I got so little sleep.
Honestly, this whole weekend, I might just because I was doing shit, but like this whole weekend, like I wake up and my body is like, we're not fucking ready to wake up.
Yeah.
We just sleep until 2 p.m. and my body's like, no. And then they're like 11 and you're like, okay.
Yeah. For me, I think it's like a combination of like the heavy rain that we've gotten with like how much I've been working out recently. And then today was like my first real rest day. So I'm just
your body was like, I know what I'm doing.
Yeah, I've just been sleeping, and even now I'm like fighting to stay awake. But you know, I'm back. We're good.
Nice.
See, I'll just do that periodically every like 5-ish minutes.
Nice. People will just think you have Tourette's or something.
Yeah. Hopefully we don't have any new viewers this episode. Hopefully, he says.
They've only watched this episode and the one where you had the EKG.
Yeah, and they're like, man, this guy's got problems.
This guy's gone through it.
Oh man. But no, we all did a little group adventure.
We had a weekend hangout excursion.
We had a Team Joystick retreat in that all members of the Team Joystick cast went on a trip, including my father, who's technically a cast member on the Chef's Son.
Oh, yeah. It's like literally everyone, yeah.
Exactly. Jose was not there, unfortunately, but technically he's not a cast member.
Yeah. And hey, if we do a retreat out in a different state, I think he'd be, you know.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, maybe he's on.
I mean, for what it's worth, I'm like secretly editing a Chronicles that we filmed, but we'll see what comes of that.
We'll see what happens.
But no, we went out to go see a little comedy show in the city. A little special comedy show, at least for Dylan and I, because it was to see a comic that we've been talking about for no less than 15 years, which is kind of crazy. And that is Daniel Tosh. I had the pleasure of getting to see Daniel Tosh, you know, about 13 to 15 years ago when he came and he visited, or rather when he when he performed at Radio City Music Hall. And what I found kind of interesting is he even alluded to that in the set where he was like, I came here 15 years ago and I still don't care for this place that much. But it was kind of crazy to be like, I was there when he came 15 years. But for you, who's been to a few comedy shows, for you who's been a fan of Daniel Tosh and who only just got to see him for the first time, what's your take, pal?
I mean, it's just like in a dirty sense of the word, he's like a class act. Like, it's like you get exactly what you're paying for. Well, Bobby said this is like, you know, when you have an experience like that and you pay the money, you want to have a good time. And it's like, this was like, oh, that was worth the fucking money.
Yeah.
There was definitely some people in attendance who did not get their money's worth.
Yeah, and they left quite early.
Yeah, which is like, you know, as being someone who's gone to more local comedy clubs and clubs in the city as opposed to like bigger theater shows, that I've only ever seen people leave because a comedian is bad.
Yeah.
Not because they are actually offended by the stuff being spewed out of this comedian's mouth. But if you know anything about that, like you said, me and you have been following this guy. This guy had not only a TV show, but also a stand-up routine that was consistent around making, you know, dancing around and poking fun at some of the most offensive topics in our current environment. Even going back to his older comedy specials.
There's this idea that no stove is too hot to touch for Daniel Tosh.
And even then, and again, it's like a lot of comedians do it, but it's like, it's the setup and the whole thing is the joke. But if you really think about it, it's kind of masterful work because he is dancing around the topic. He'll get people on your, like, for example, he'll make a joke about one side and get you, and then neutralize laughter immediately just to come back 2 minutes later with an even bigger punchline or even a bigger pivot that really catches you off guard. I mean, yeah, what else can I say? I mean, he's fucking solid.
He also has like just before I get into that tangent, I also found it really interesting that he kind of started off his whole show by saying, like, I don't want all of you here by the end of tonight. I'm trying to whittle you down.
Like, it was weird that also, like, his gimmick at the beginning was talking, like, he was saying that, like, at first his whole opening gimmick was that he didn't even do stand-up anymore.
Yeah, he's like, I don't want to be here.
He's like, I don't want to be here. Like, he just kept grunting and making noises. Like, he's like, I'm a kid now. I don't want to do this. I'm a magician now. He kept going on all these tangents. And then eventually, when you think he got to the show, he was still ranting about how he's going to piss you off. He's going to make you leave. He says, he breaks down the math. He says like 0.002% of America's population is all I need to fill theaters. So we're going to whittle it down. And I mean, he kind of did. I mean, he really, you know, it's one of those situations where like, I'm really not into that kind of humor. Like I love edgy humor, but I'm not a big like racy, ooh, we got to touch all the hot button. I'm going to offend you and make you laugh.
But
like,
to tell you the truth, I'm not either, but how he did it was great because his whole spiel was he's like, I'm going to let you know exactly what my viewpoints are. But he does it in a way where he's like, okay, we'll do it one at a time. So he's like, vaccines, love them. Love them. Vaccinate everybody.
Yeah,
you know?
And Daniel Tosh is one of the few comedians that I fucking love the character.
Yeah.
That like a lot of times, like, you know, every stand-up gets in that kind of like gray area where it's like they are a character, but it's still their name.
Yeah.
So it's like you really don't know what to trust. But Daniel Tosh, you're like, this guy is fucking hysterical. Because he's being so facetious about everything that you're like, how could you leave this guy's show? He's obviously joking.
And he even says early on, he's like, if you bought a ticket to my show and don't like what I'm saying, you're an idiot. You're a fucking idiot.
And to see like the fact of like when you're making political humor, to take a side but make fun of the other side but be facetious about your side, so you are making fun of everyone equally. And it does end up in that way. No matter what the topic is, he will go after both sides, and like I said before, he'll even neutralize it to get people on your side and then just hit them, and just everyone's like, like, come on, I thought you were on our side. But that's kind of the beauty of it.
Nah, I mean, he's like you said, he's a master. He's been doing this for fucking 30 plus years. He's great at it. And man, I was just gonna say, I had other points that I wanted to make. When you said the whole like the show being worth it, it's funny when I explained it to Mildred, that's exactly what I said. I was like, it feels like with Daniel Tosh, it's a big quality over quantity thing. You're not gonna get anything super flashy. Like in our case, we got one opener. Who's good, by the way. Shout out to Eddie Gosling. Solid like 20 minutes, right? No flashy screens or anything. No crazy music. Tosh just comes up, does an hour and a half, and it was perfect. It's all it had to be. It's not anything crazy, right? So I really appreciated that. But I also just appreciated the fact that like it felt like he had stuff to say. It wasn't just like he didn't come on and do like stupid shit. Like he really wanted to say some of his takes about things that were happening. But like you mentioned, under the guise of that character of like, but I don't want you to think I care too fucking much. Like,
I mean, you know, it was like, you know, he kind of gives off, like you said, he gives us his character that he's like taking aside or whatever. But a lot of his jokes were kind of set up in like a debate, kind of like proving an argument kind of way. So it felt almost more like, I don't want to say George Carlin, but it felt very much like he's actually he's saying something. Like you said, he's not just making poop and racy humor. He's not making 9/11 jokes at the sake of 9/11. It's like, no, he's making a huge joke out of it.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, shout outs. It was a great night. It was a fun experience. We found parking right outside the venue, which was hype. We had a little Gray's papaya before. Dylan proved to us that he is in fact the glizzy captain. Yeah,
I got into some logistics, but I think I was just
some linguistics.
Yeah, linguistics. No, I was just really high, and after being so high and eating one hot dog in like 2.5 bites, I was like,
well, you asked a great question.
I was like, how many of these hot dogs can I eat? Because normally I think like 2, and then I'm burping, and I'm like, oh, this is like heavy and greasy, you know? But I ate that hot dog, and I was like, that was like the easiest thing to eat ever. I was like, I could have had a lot of those hot dogs.
Exactly. That was my question. I think I said 3.
Yeah. But when you really think about it, it feels like a lot more.
I mean, you said you were feeling like chestnut. Like,
I was feeling like if I had like a glass of water, I would probably vomit before giving up, but it would be a good amount. Yeah.
Have I ever told you about my my hot dog contest eating experience? Have I not?
No.
Oh man, so we when I say we, me, Joey, and Jerry used to be part of this, you know, this Catholic youth movement called the Jornada, and you know, it's just like they do all these different events to kind of like bring the different churches all around New York City together. And they'd have like cultural days and, you know, like shows and dances. But one thing they did every year was like this Olympics. It was kind of like a sports day. Where they'd have like different events.
Like a field day, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So they do like, you know,
love field day.
Steal the bacon, and sometimes they even have
tug of war.
Tug of war was a huge one.
Classic
Ultimate frisbee sometimes. All kinds of stuff, right? They'd even have like trivia. That's usually what I would get signed up for most of the time. But one year they had an eating contest, but they didn't really specify like what we were eating. So they were just like, we need 3 participants, right? So the 3 participants were me, our friend Joe, who's our friend Connie's little brother, and Andy, Jerry's older brother.
Oh my God, that's not fair.
So they lined us up, and right at the end, they were like, all right, you have to each eat 2 hot dogs. So we were like, okay. They give us a plate. Each one of us is given 2 hot dogs with a bun. And the rules are we have to eat both of the hot dogs with the bun and all. And the next person can't start eating until the last person has finished, right? So Joe's sitting first, I'm in the middle, and then Andy's like the anchor, so to speak, right?
Okay.
So cool. They even give us like ketchup and mustard. They're like, if you want, right? I take the ketchup, I put it on mine, Joe puts it on his, Andy's like, I'm good. So I'm already like, the fuck? Yeah.
Oh my God.
Joe goes, I'm going to tell this story complete honesty, right? Yeah. Joe goes, he eats the first one. He does pretty well, right? The second one comes and he's slowing down. But I mean, you know, come on. We're doing this at like 10 a.m. Like a Sunday or Saturday or whatever. Like, so, you know, he's slowing down. He gets it done. It's my turn, bro. I'm letting the team down, bro. It's hard. I was sitting there. This was Chubby Bobby too. So I'm like, 2 hot dogs. 2 hot dogs were fucking hard, bro. I'm just there like, like practically crying. And Andy's just like champing me through it. He's like, don't worry. Keep going. You got that. Just finish it. You got it. I'm looking around, right? People are at the second, the third guy. Andy's like, don't worry. You got it, bro. Finally, put it down. I swap, bro. Andy just goes into fucking
I knew it,
bro. He grabs the water, just splashes it. It takes the hot dogs out, splashes it on the bun, starts eating the hot dogs, and then just mushes the bun right after. He ate everything in like 35 seconds. We won. We won with like the worst start.
Oh, he had the actual like.
He had the strat.
He had literally like the grand champ strategy.
No condiments, fucking wet the bun, and bro, I just looked at him like, you're my hero, dog. Like, and he still is to this day. So if he's watching, like, you know, every now and then he comes in. You're my hero, Andy. So
just for him to be like, you got it. Once his sister's like,
yeah, bro. Fucking, I'll never forget that. That was like,
that's hysterical.
It's like when you watch an expert do their craft. It's like you get to see it in person. You're like, man, that's.
I want like a re-up. You know, I want to see this.
Yeah,
you know I mean?
They did another. I'll never forget. Like a year or two later, they did another one, and it was a similar eating contest where they invited 3 people to do it, but it was a pie eating contest. And me and Jerry don't really fuck. I mean, Jerry likes sweets, but I don't fuck with sweets, and I don't know how he feels about pie. So I was like, I will not do it. And then when it was time, they revealed at the last second that the pie was a pizza pie.
Oh, wow.
So 3 people had to finish a Domino's pie as fast as possible. And when Jerry, Joey, and I looked at each other, we were like, we do that on the fucking regular, bro.
Yeah, I was like,
we demolish pies in like a minute. Like we...
I mean, you guys eat them. You guys finish it, but I would like to see. It is more your specialty for sure.
No, yeah, that we would have been able to fucking knock out the park. Yeah. Like Jerry would have anchored that hardcore, but we could have done it. We could have done it. That's what I like to think.
I mean, we actually find out Joey's all talk. You know, he's like eating
in the eating department.
Yeah. He's like on like his 3rd slice. He's like, man, I really can't do this.
No, I mean, look, from the person who's been there, like, look, you can look at eating contests and you can eat food and think like, oh, I got that. But when, you know, the lights are shining and all eyes are on you.
When food comes to shove, you know?
When food comes to shove, it gets real difficult, bro.
I mean, as someone who's fucking literally, like, when I go out to eat with Marianthi and then her sister and husband, Mitchell, we have names. Like, we're like a squad, you know? And I'm tummy troubles because I am the weakest out of the bunch.
Yeah.
So it's
tummy
like,
trubs.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, I'm the weakest, but it's like, I put in a valiant effort, you know? So in these eating type contests, it's like, I'm big game, but I know going in, it's like, this is like a 50-50 if I can actually do it or not.
And I want people at home who've gotten this far and who have heard Dylan say that to know how shocking that is, because I honestly think out of all of us in the friend group next to Jerry, you're probably like the most adventurous eater when it comes to like trying.
Because I will take the risk. And also I think it helps that like I don't have a full-time job either, so it's like I can take a shit in the morning. You can
handle the repercussions.
The 10 a.m. 11 a.m. diarrhea will not affect me that badly. I will be like, I will get back on.
I've said it once, I'll say it 100 times. Diarrhea, when it does not impact your schedule, is pretty damn nice.
Yeah, you lose weight.
It's therapeutic.
It reminds you to drink some water. You gotta get hydrated.
It's nice.
Yeah. But yeah, you know, I like food.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Food that's been established. You know? We have a food show technically that we have to get back to.
Every time I'm here, I let your dad know about a new food item.
Yeah.
That happens often.
Speaking of that show, my girlfriend, shout outs to Mildred, who's also not just my girlfriend but a very talented producer as well. She's been helping me behind the scenes, ways that we could, improve the chef's son specifically and bring it back. And we're kind of like secretive about stuff that we do behind the scenes, because I'm not the kind of creator that's hiding behind mystery. I'll be fucking blunt honest with you guys. Team Joystick is like the idea department. You know what I mean? Like, we just meet up and we're like, we should do this, and it's like, yeah, and then we don't do it, and it's fine.
I mean, it's like I think also it's like, it's also your baby in a sense too.
Yeah.
And it's like, I mean, at least now it's like I've made stuff before. Jerry's a fucking hacker, right? Joey's editing his own videos. Like, there is potential there, but when it comes down to like the nitty gritty, you're the creative guy.
Yeah.
So I think that's also how that ends up.
But look, and I also, part of that is I have to take responsibility, because as the creative guy, there's also just been moments where I'm like, fuck that's not getting finished. Like, I'm just tired of it, or you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
And that's just my own personal like things that I have to get through, right? But that being said, The Chef's Son is not only a project that we've all kind of in our own right been psyched about before, but one that we've low-key seen returns on the channel, right? Like, we've seen the view count it gets. We fucked the view count. We've seen the response it gets.
I mean, not only do we know it does well by analytics, but I mean, just by people being like, yo, that's good.
It's not only that, it's by far like the most requested thing that anybody who knows that I have a YouTube channel like talks about to me personally. They're like, yo, when's the Chef's Son coming back? Like, even people who come up and are like, yo, the podcast is great when you're doing Chef's Son. You know what I mean? So it's like, okay, we get it. We have something people want. Now we have to fulfill the demand. We have to supply it. That being said, Mildred and I are working with my father to kind of like make that come to fruition. We're planning to, and again, I want to be open. We're planning to make an 8-episode season 1, 8 separate recipes. We're hoping that the idea will be that I improve as the show goes on, so that, you know, we used to have this outlook that it was kind of jokey, like Big Bob knows how to cook, Little Bob doesn't know shit, and you know that was kind of like the idea, and that's not fully going away. But I don't also want it to be a thing where 2-3 seasons down the line, I still don't know how to hold a fucking whisk.
Yeah,
you know?
or it's like your dad's like, need this dough, and you're like,
what is dough?
What is that?
I don't need it. Like, what
do
are you
I?
talking
Yeah,
about?
it's like, do I push it? And your dad's like, and then your dad does it in like 1 second, and you're like, what the fuck? You just like
exactly.
You did a magic trick.
So the plan is to improve over time. Like, I'm not trying to be a Michelin star chef, but it'd be nice to be able to cook my own meals.
Yeah, do the basics
and not have to rely on like an air fryer most of the time. But yeah, hopefully you'll be able to look forward to that in the future. And what was actually kind of cool is we've also been experimenting with like different camera practices, because if you remember how the show used to be filmed, is we used to have typically you hold the camera and like have it like a handheld feel. But after watching a lot of cooking content on the internet between like Babish, Maddie Matheson, just like everything that's out there, a lot of that is static. A lot of the cameras just kind of like one spot.
And then he's like that.
And then if anything, the B cam is usually like held or on like a ball head of a tripod so that it can move around. So I think that's kind of going to be the new approach, so that the master shot, so to speak, we won't have to worry about it. And then if we have a camera person off to the side, they could go in for the zooms and stuff like that. But that's getting technical. And also it's kind of funny because Mildred brought up that she has a friend that could potentially even come in and shoot it. And she's like, honestly, I think you could get away with just paying their Uber fee and then giving them the food. And I was like, that's not a bad fucking, it's not a bad price to pay. So
yeah, I mean,
might even get ourselves a little videographer out of it. We'll see. So shout out to the chef's son, and hopefully the official season 1.
I want to hold the camera.
No, yeah, you'll be there.
I want to hold.
This is for like when I can't get anybody.
Yeah.
Because that has happened before.
Yeah, this is a full-time employed Dylan.
Yeah.
Okay.
But don't worry,
nice.
we're also just trying out some new stuff.
Yeah,
we're trying to make everything here a little better. We've even discussed about ways we can make the podcast better. We've been saying it for 230 episodes about eventually putting the podcast on audio platforms. But can I tell you my problem with that?
Okay.
And maybe you could just like help talk it out with me. We do a little podcast therapy real quick.
All right.
Because I'll say my problem with it.
This is interesting. Okay.
The reason why now, in the ripe old age of almost 5 years doing this podcast, why I feel weird about putting it on an audio platform is not only because we haven't done it already, it's because I also feel some type of way of not having the whole rest of the catalog on the audio platform. You know what I'm saying? Like, it feels weird to just start at like 235 or whatever the next one is that we start.
That is a very valid point.
Yeah.
That's a little strange.
So the way I'm thinking about it is, if we do it, and it's not even a question of if, because I think it's something that we have to do.
Yeah.
I think we wait for like a marquee episode, like maybe even 250. And then we, that's like the 250, the first one. And then we go on from there. Like episodes 250 and after are the
you
ones
start with a landmark for sure.
I think that's the idea,
And also it's like, it is really only like Spotify and a couple of other
I'm not,
platforms.
as far as like the actual platforms, I'm literally limiting it to Spotify and Apple. And
because back in the day, there was like some weird, you know what I mean? Like literally Pod Stitcher had 2 million listeners a week or whatever. And you were like, who the fuck you? But it was like this weird, when it was like blowing up, that people were like, oh, upload every episode to the SoundCloud. And it's like, the fuck, what am I, a DJ? What am I doing here?
My outlook is like, I'm not worried too much about, well, let me not say that. I obviously care about the spread. I want as many people to be able to enjoy and watch the show as possible. But it's not my priority. My priority is more so like, I want to do this in service of the people who don't have the time to watch the Joystick Show, right?
Yeah.
Because the reality is, like, I know it as a podcast listener and viewer myself that I don't always have the time to watch the visual episode, right? Like, sometimes I'm on the train and I just want to catch up.
I'm a bigger listener. Even sometimes when I'm on the train, I'm like, I've been looking at shit all day, and then I just press lock. I have YouTube Premium, and I'm like, I can't watch this right now.
It's more so like, I want to start making changes to service our viewers, because that's really what we should be doing, and that's
we're trying to please our viewers.
You guys.
We're trying to get down on our knees, and just really, really make sure that the pleasure, the compassion is there.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm glad passion came after the first 3 letters of that one. So cool. I don't know where to move on from that one, but I've got.
If you listen, we want to fuck you.
Speaking of podcasts, Speaking of podcasts,
got it. And
what a great episode. Speaking of podcasts and semen, shout outs to Cumtown.
Oh yeah,
We're making a little reunion episode, sorta. A couple.
I mean, they went on Stavi, and like they did everything Stavi does.
Thing, yeah.
And not only did they do their own thing, but they also did what Stavi does and take the calls and stuff.
Yeah.
And I thought that was fucking great because it's like you really got some, like you see how funny those guys could be. Even though at least one and sometimes multiple of them are like out of touch.
Yeah.
A little bit. Like Nick Mullen didn't know like definitions to words. Mm-hmm. And I was like, this is one of the funniest people I've ever heard. And he doesn't even get references. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it was kind of like that where I was like, this guy is so funny. Like he could be so hysterical. And yeah, I mean, it was just good to see them back. Like I know like Adam and Stavi have been like going on Hassan's stream independently in LA. And it's like just watch it, and I'm like, they didn't go on together though, but they went on like a week apart. Like I was putting the pieces together. I was like, wait a minute, and then that episode came out, and I was like, oh,
because I don't know the times table because to be honest, I haven't really been following too much as of late. But I know Nick officially left the Adam Friedland show to like work on something else or just to do his own thing, and then either right before that, during, or after. Again, I don't remember the timeline. He just kind of went on this like mini podcast tour, and I started to get like this whole new like feed of Nick Mullen content, like Nick Mullen doing Dan Soder's podcast, Nick Mullen doing this other person's podcast, and it's like, whoa,
yeah,
like
they were making appearances.
Exactly. But I really didn't have on my bingo card that they were both going to do Stavi. And, like, again, I also, like, going into it, didn't really expect it to be too much like the olden episodes. But at the same time, I was like...
Why wouldn't it be?
Why wouldn't it be? Exactly. It's the same. It's the three of them, right? Fucking Jose, I wish he was here. Jose has, like, a very hot take about that.
What do you mean?
Jose has, like, a really hot take opinion about Stav. Where he's like, he doesn't like the fact that Stav left Cumtown to sort of like chase the whole like star stand-up dreams, only to like basically do his own podcast and just kind of like fall into that primarily.
No, I 100% disagree with him.
What's your take? Ooh.
My take is that like Cumtown kind of was like this like 2016 to 2021 like lightning in a bottle, just three funny people in their prime just shooting shit, and I feel like you can't really do that forever.
Yeah, so in that aspect, I 100% agree.
And then it's like
it had to end at some point.
And it's like to say that Stavi really like ended up doing. I think it was that he ended up making a movie and doing stand up and 3 specials, and then going, I'm the best at making a podcast and making fun of people. Yeah, and I think that's how he ended up becoming a podcaster again. And Stavi's funny, and that podcast is funny. So I don't feel any type of way. I guess they prematurely ended it by like a year. I guess.
Honestly,
but
I was actually, before you even brought up the timeline, I was going to reiterate the fact that I feel like, especially people who didn't follow Cumtown, don't really understand that they were around for like 6 years.
Yeah, like people got into them right before they broke up. Like a lot of people got into them in that like 20.
Like, I'm not even gonna lie, a year and a half, like we're probably just gonna be like, all right, we did this for fucking 350 episodes. Peace out.
and at the same time, it's like that. Not only is that how shit works, but it's also
healthy,
like and like Cumtown, it was like people got into it a little late. It's kind of like getting into a band and they break up 2 years later. And you're like, no, I just found them. It's like, yeah, but they've been touring since 2010.
They kind of blew up in COVID, low-key.
Yeah, really. Everyone refound them. And then there was like a bunch of like, people would re-edit the clips over it.
Was a big thing.
Those videos came back. And there was like 8 re-upload channels that like, Churdleys did videos, and like there was basically like other comedians were reposting their stuff. Yeah, and it ended up just helping a lot in that way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, shout outs to the boys. Hope that they all find their own success individually, and selfishly, I also hope that they continue to work together at some point in the future. And
also, like, if they have money, what's your excuse? You're not to be that guy, but it's like it's someone who like, like is doing this, but like, even without this, it's like there's money everywhere. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's like these guys don't work.
No, I mean, look, it's absolutely true. When I first saw their like initial Patreon like analytics, I was like, there is no reason we can't make like $20 a week doing this shit. Like those guys were making what, $300,000 a month for like 2 1-hour long podcasts that weren't even like super professionally produced.
They weren't anything. They weren't produced. That was like the whole.
They just
gimmick.
happened to be 3 of like the funniest fucking guys,
and people fucking ate it up, man.
And I say that because I never want to discredit the actual talent. At the end of the day, that's what people are gonna fucking listen to. Like,
no,
if you're funny, if you're good enough, people aren't gonna care if you report through a potato.
I think it's more of like the point, you know, less of like that. It's like, oh, it's like that easy. It's like, no, those guys are that funny that they had a show called Cumtown, got sponsors up the fucking wazoo, and had a show for mad long. And were that funny with no premise, and it worked. Yeah. Like, that is more remarkable than the fact that it's like, oh, they just had it or whatever.
Yeah. Like, I try to explain it to Mildred, the idea of, I guess, the way I explain it, I don't want to, I definitely haven't coined this. I'm pretty sure I've read this before. But it's kind of like this idea of, like when you're in school, the sort of lunchroom conversations you have, like, with your friends when you're young, just that you kind of have this... Like, not you don't have the ability to, but you can kind of just say like the most outlandish shit, and it just makes your friends laugh because nobody else is around you or nobody else is really like breathing down your neck. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like nonsensical conversation. Yeah, doesn't have repercussion. You just kind of
exactly. It's like it's everyone has this understanding that everything is being said in irony or just like in bullshit. So it's like and it's also this funny thing where like, not to go on a whole analysis of humor, but I find that sense of humor really interesting, not just because it's also my own, but I feel like everybody sort of has that, or most people have it, and it's just that a lot of people don't like to let others know that they do. So it's like,
yeah, some people, whether it be there's other, I mean, I feel like a lot of people have certain situations, whether they won't let themselves do it or that they can't do it. They're physically unable to have that sense of humor. And I think that, you know, I'll give you a break on that because, you know, everyone's different. But I think that for the most part, it's like everyone has that. It's just a matter of, do you tap into it or do you let yourself have fun with it? Yeah. You know, like there's like countless movies and TV shows of like, just have fun. And the person's like, no, I'm rigid. And then by the end, they're like, woo! You know, it's like, that's every movie.
What a character arc.
Yeah, it's like, that's every single movie because it's true. It's like, are you going to let yourself fucking laugh or not? You know, like there's countless things that were like really fucked up that you laugh at, but then you know it's fucked up. But you laugh.
Bro, at this point, I'm about to fucking sign up to be a writer on SNL, man. I was watching the Jack Black episode. I feel like those shows just get weaker and weaker by the...
I feel bad, because, again, like, when I watch SNL, I'm like, there is a premise, but then I'm wondering, it's like, how bad are the sketches that are getting cut?
That's a good point, right?
That, like, I'm sure there are...
I mean, you say that, right? And then all the Tim Robinson sketches were getting cut, and then he got fucking super successful.
Yeah, so now I'm thinking that, like, all of the ones getting cut are actually good, and then they're cutting them because it's like, oh, we can't make fun of that.
You want my actual opinion?
We don't have... Or it's like, Lauren will come in Acts 5. He's like, oh, that makes fun of one of our sponsors. We can't do that. You know, like, there's definitely a lot of minutia and corporate BS that goes into that.
I have an opinion on this.
Okay.
So... hear me out. I think I mentioned this, I think last episode when I was talking about Conan O'Brien, right? Part of the video that I was watching about him talks about his infamous sort of like stint on The Tonight Show, where he was only on The Tonight Show for a very brief period before NBC sort of like cut their deal and kind of like forced him out. So they made a big deal about how Conan was going to come in, replace Jay Leno. He was going to be the fifth host of The Tonight Show. And it ended up just like falling into chaos. He gave the show back to Jay Leno, and then that's kind of how it went, right? But the documentary that I was watching specifically, or rather the video essay, talks more specifically as to like why NBC wasn't liking or wasn't really gelling with Conan. And to be fair, it was mainly because the numbers that Conan was getting compared to Jay Leno were like catastrophically lower. Like he just couldn't maintain Leno's numbers. But there was a reason for that. The reason that Conan couldn't maintain Jay Leno's numbers was because Conan was targeting a way younger demographic. Whereas Jay Leno's fans were a lot of the older people
who like watched Carson and shit.
Exactly.
Yeah, and they grew up with that.
And all of the younger people who fuck with Conan weren't really watching late night television. You know what I mean? So that was a big reason why when Conan eventually left TBS, goes to a cable network, shows a little earlier, he ends up gaining way more popularity, right?
And then, funny enough, they end up putting Team Coco clips on YouTube, and all of a sudden, you look at every single Tonight Show, Colbert, Fallon, Kimmel, and their most viewed stuff is online on YouTube.
Now, swinging that into SNL, what I think is happening is I think Saturday Night Live has this viewpoint that they're just trying to like, people, I don't think wokeify is really the word, because that's implying that they're trying to be politically correct or whatever, but I just think that they're incorrectly trying to make the humor more young, like appeal to a younger audience, to a younger demographic.
They're trying to pander, I guess is what you're trying to say.
And more specifically, it feels like they're trying to speak to our age range, because to be fair, we're technically that age where like we're getting older, right? Like we're gonna start be getting married and having kids and stuff like that. Like we're officially the age that our parents were when like we were watching SNL, like, oh, it's a bad thing, like, oh shit, what is that, you know? But incorrectly, I don't think the humor works, because I think that they're still trying to stay in this like idea of like, no, we have to keep it this, when in actuality, the audience that they're targeting, us, we're not watching Saturday Night Live. We're watching anything else. And if we are,
we want the opposite of what they're making usually.
And not only that, if we are watching SNL, it's on YouTube, like after the show comes out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's like a sketch.
So I think the honest fix to that is don't try to fucking make a show for us. Just pander to the same people who have loved SNL until they have fucking hate it, and then cancel the show. But that's just me.
Yeah.
Kind of a harsh take now that I think about it, but
I think it's more of like, you know, when you love something, you care about it.
Yeah.
So it's like as someone who likes SNL, you're just kind of like watching it crash and burn, and you're like, even like 10 years ago when people were saying it's failing, you're like, no, now. It
just feels like it's a show of concepts.
Yeah.
Like everything's an idea. Like this would be funny, and sure, yeah, it's a funny idea, but fucking what else can you do with it? Like, you know, it's just like Joey put a sketch in the chat today, and to be fair, like one part of it did make me laugh. I thought it was funny, but it was essentially one from the Jack Black episode where like a group of people are out for a dinner and they're trying to like one up each other by saying little like passive, not aggressive, but just like one-upsmanship quotes. Oh, sorry I was late. I was teaching my student who's partially deaf. And then after they'd say it, they would like look into a camera that was like off to the side, and an eagle cry would go out. So like, you know, the first
also
2-3 times
sketch they've done before they've done that sketch many times. It's like a common sketch.
The first 2-3 times it's funny, but then like after the 7th or 8th eagle cry, it's like, oh, come on. But eventually there was a part where I don't remember her name, but she's really funny. It's this black woman who's on the show right now. She basically goes on this whole spin. She's like, sorry, I was at my school where I tutor an underprivileged child who only speaks Spanish. And then when she looks at the camera, instead of it being the eagle cry, it's the ooh, wah, ah, ah, from Disturbed. And that shit got me off guard, because I was like, what the fuck?
That's funny. Yeah.
At least they changed the sound effect. But then after that, they're all eagle cries again. I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I mean, it also goes to show that like older SNL stuff isn't much different. It's just funny.
Yeah.
I don't know how else to describe it. Like, you know, going back to like Stefan or like the Californians or something like that, where it's like a sketch where it's like the same thing.
Yeah.
It was funny. Maybe it's just the writing, but like in my head, it's like these sketches were funny, but I knew what to expect.
Well, with Stefan, it's 100% the writing.
Yeah,
we can't say 100% because no one else could play Stefan.
But you know, it's the fucking cue card that you're reading.
But to also add on to that, I think back then it was definitely just the performance, right? Because even you go back to watching like the Californian sketches, and half the time they're breaking, right? Like fucking Bill Hader's crying, but Fred Armisen is dying laughing.
The whole gimmick is that they're purposefully fucking up the line more and more each time.
But like you can tell it's funny when they think it's funny. Like that's something, and I also just don't get that vibe. Like I don't know, a lot of current SNL feels like the performers are just like trying to get the audience to laugh, when I feel like they work best when they're trying to get each other to laugh. You know, like that should low-key be That should just be the vibe. I think that's when that's what works best with most comedy groups, right? It's like, what's gonna make the rest of them laugh?
Yeah, I mean, we need more. We need more men dressing up like women. Too. We need a lot of that stuff.
I ain't mad at it.
We need, like, I know we can't really do it anymore because it's not.
There's some stuff we definitely can't do, right?
But like I'm gonna say this completely honest, and you might hate me, but if someone's playing like a racial stereotype, that's pretty funny.
Yeah, if their face is painted a different way.
Yeah, like there's a way to do it. Don't have the pale guy paint his face and then do the thing, obviously, but like there's a tasteful way to do those things still.
Yeah.
And even like I feel like SNL, they could do much more like man on the street and like rage bait humor that they don't really do because it's like kind of seen as kind of like lowbrow or like not like relevant to current events and stuff. Yeah. But that, I feel like that kind of humor is really overlooked. Like if you look at like a Whitest Kid You Know, or like even like a Mad TV or In Living Color sketch, it's like half physical comedy. Yeah. It's all just idiotic shit or like really physical stuff. So I feel like they got to go back to that a little bit. Which makes me want to watch some Mad TV and In Living Color. Holy shit, those are good fucking shows, bro. My dad had like the whole fucking DVD sets and shit.
Fucking last thing I'll say to end it on a positive note, just one thing that actually did make me really laugh from that episode was in typical fashion, Weekend Update, because it's keeping that show afloat, let's be real. But fucking there was a part of Weekend Update where, again, I'm gonna be upset. I want to actually find her name because she's holding up that cast low-key. SNL current cast, I guess. Anyway, there was a segment where she comes on, and I didn't really pay attention to the character that she was playing in because I came in late. But you know how sometimes, Weekend Update will bring in like guest characters either on the panel or to talk directly to the audience or to whatever. So they bring her in. Her name is Ego Nwadim. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. But this girl right here.
Okay.
So she's hilarious, and she gets on and she's playing like a character, but she's like trying, it's almost like she's being like an urban like stand-up comic, like trying to talk to the crowd or whatever. Yeah. And there's like a part where she's like talking about like Scrubs or whatever, and she's like, "And you know Scrubs, right? Why? Because Scrubs ain't," and then she puts the mic out and the whole audience goes shit, and you hear it mad loud, and behind him is just Michael Che and fucking Colin Jost like, no, like don't do it. And then as soon as she says it, she's like, "Oh shit, Lauren gonna be mad at y'all, not me." And then she like leaves, but it was mad funny. But shout out to Ego.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Guess what? It's fucking funny.
Exactly. And she's also the one that does the ooh-wah thing. So that was, she's holding it up. She's doing it well. Anyway, I feel like that's a good place to end this comedy show that we do here.
That was fucking nice. Easy.
We'll call this episode a little a seminar in humor.
Yeah.
There we go.
Easy peasy
and
lemon young Jeezy.
Seminar. There we go. You like that?
So now this is the Jam and Yam guy.
I didn't have to say it. Look at that. Somebody else took the words out of my mouth.
Yeah, sadly, I'm starting to play music. Oopsies.
I have a jam. It's pretty much the only song that I've been jamming to this week. It's a song by Donald Glover that he released on his old album, but that I haven't listened to until recently because on April Fool's Day, which is also Jose's birthday, shout outs, he released a music video for it that was directed and stars Casey Fry. And it's equally a vibe and funny. So shout outs to Psilocybae by Childish Gambino featuring 21 Savage, Inc. and Kadhja, I believe is how you pronounce it. So yeah, super vibe.
Nice. I love Casey Fry. My Am of the Week, this is going to sound like a cultural hit, but it's actually from the Risk of Rain soundtrack.
Wow.
And that is They Might As Well Be Dead by Christodoulou. The entire Risk of Rain soundtrack is made by like 4 to 6 Greek dudes. I didn't know this. The main composer is like a Greek fucking like orchestral guy. And it's pretty fucking impressive.
Nice. Yeah. Feel bad that Jerry's not here. That's like his fucking game.
Yeah. So it's like half the songs are very clearly like levels, and then the other half are like the most epic shit you've heard.
Gotcha. Yeah. That's a vibe. All right. Thanks for stopping by. Episode 234. Shout out to the Middle Blank Space podcast. It's great.
Yeah, there usually is fucking people there, right? It's crazy.
Leave a comment. What should we hang from the ceiling when Jerry and Joey aren't here? Jerry and I were discussing that we have to eventually fix this piece of shit sign that's falling apart.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm thinking that like, I don't know. We gotta like, there's a way to put something here.
Yeah, 100%. Get some like fishing lines, some hooks, just like a poster of Supreme Leader Kim Jong-un.
I don't even fucking know, bro. Like,
all right, well, you guys will be in charge of that. Go ahead and leave a comment.
Yeah, go leave a comment of what I'm thinking. Like,
no matter what you say,
treasure map,
we will put there. And if it is a treasure map, we will follow it till the very end until we find the treasure.
Yeah.
Until then, make sure you go ahead and like this episode of the Joystick Show. Go ahead and subscribe to the boys because it makes us feel good on the inside.
Mm-hmm.
And if any of you guys see Joey and Jerry on the outside, please tell them that we miss them, that we love them dearly, and that we've been looking for them for a while now.
Because,
yeah.
You're fired.
No.
You're fired.
Me?
You're fired.
Am I fired?
You're fired.
Because if I'm fired, the show doesn't get made.